The FPS industry has been pretty quiet recently. With the failure of so many projects, you really have to reinvent the wheel if you were going to make something that players really want to actually play. Today, we look at a game that does just that. Imagine you take an arena shooter like Quake or Overwatch and a deck building card game like Hearthstone and smash them together. That's how you get friends versus friends, a 1v1 or 2v2 standoff between friends that ends up in a bloodbath resulting in enemies. Players open booster packs, build decks, and then draw cards at the start of each round that determine their loadouts and face off in a best of 5 series. And honestly, it is an absolute blast. The lore of the game includes a group of friends that went on the internet, bought a card game, and found that it was rather violent. You are doing exactly what the title of the game entails. You are friends fighting against your friends. The story doesn't get much deeper than that on a surface level, and I actually really enjoy that because it adequately describes how the game is played in reality. The game is very simple with easy to understand cards for new players. As you play more, you unlock more cards that do more advanced things. You also get unique characters that bring their own innate cards to the game as well. Many card games are rather pay to win, but in this instance, there is no option to pay, and the only way to earn new cards is by simply playing the game more. Furthermore, the more that you play, the better you understand the cards that you have and the synergies between them, especially in the 2v2 scenario. Overall, the system is fun and highly replayable because no 2 rounds will ever be the same. The fact that there are only a handful of maps and I've never been really bored of the game either is a sign of that. Admittedly, however, there are some problems with the game, but we'll discuss that later. It would be a disservice to not talk about the game's graphic style as well as its audio and sound, especially with how cheap the game is. Having the Borderlands style is dicey for most games as it can heavily impact the visibility on the screen, but Friends vs. Friends doesn't have that problem. The cards also have unique art that makes it really feel like I'm playing a card game without being overbearing. On top of this, the soundtrack is perfect given the context of the game. Even though it is nothing to write home about, it does its job and it's quite memorable. I also did not expect for the footsteps to be so clear with how cheap the game is. The point I'm trying to make here is that the audio design is crazy good for what the game is and should definitely be noted, as well as the graphical design. At the end of every one of my reviews though, I have to ask if the game truly innovates on the industry, and is it worthy of being rated highly? After all, if the game is a mere copy of its predecessor, it doesn't deserve a high score. The previous one is the one that does. Friends vs. Friends doesn't have that problem. I have never really played anything like it, and quite honestly, I don't think I ever will. When playing any deck builder though, RNG will always play a role. This is what you get when cards are involved. What makes a truly great deck builder, however, is the way the developer gives the player the opportunity to build in a way that reduces the luck involved in the game. The best deck builders out there give the players a consistent experience if they build correctly. Friends vs. Friends nails this aspect, and it is why I want to rate it so highly. The only problem I have with the game is that it currently lacks a way for the player to switch decks between maps to create the most efficient deck given the situation. If you choose to rematch with the enemy team you just played, you are stuck with what you have. In competitive circuits like Hearthstone, players choose decks beforehand and then play out the series, creating a fair experience with more variety. With the way Friends vs. Friends is currently set up, it forces you to use flexible decks that lack in certain areas, lowering the consistency of deck building. In reality though, this is a quick fix if the developers choose to change it. Furthermore, this game really needs a competitive mode at this point, but I have to mention that this game has only been out for a little over a month, and these things will be added with more cards and more options. Once these things are added, the game will be absolutely insane. At the end of the day, if you're picking this game up just to play with your friends and have a good time, this game will absolutely deliver. But it is because of these shortcomings that I'm going to have to give Friends vs. Friends a 9 out of 10. I really wanted to give it a legendary rating, but in reality, it just isn't quite there yet. I do believe it will get there in due time, but it is important to have some deviation between all of the ratings on the channel. At the end of the day, is Friends vs. Friends worth picking up? Absolutely. For $10 on Steam, you aren't going to find many more games that are much better. I could totally see this game getting absolutely huge in a few months, and I'm happy I found it when I did. What do you all think of Friends vs. Friends? Do you love it? Hate it? Never even want to play it? Let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to also let me know if there are any other games coming up that you want me to review. Thank you all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.